Bem-vindos ao Estudar Direito pelo Mundo, um podcast feito por mim, Klaus, com entrevistas e informações sobre como funciona estudar direito em diversas partes do mundo. Aqui você vai aprender sobre os requisitos para estudar direito em outros países, vai ouvir um pouco da experiência de outros estudantes e não se preocupe quando começar a ouvir eles falando em inglês, pois todas as partes têm tradução. Então convido vocês para ouvirem o episódio até o final e convidarem um amigo para ouvir também. E aí, galera, boa tarde. Vamos começar uma live, então, aqui sobre Sul. Eu estou convidando meu amigo Khumo para falar comigo. Eu já vou explicar como que vai ser a dinâmica.
Boa tarde.
Hello, boa tarde.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks for asking.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
It's weird that
Okay.
it's actually sun outside.
Sweet. Okay. So I'll just explain real quick how it's going to work in Portuguese, and then I'll come right back to you, okay? Então, como vai funcionar? A gente vai conversando, vai fazendo as perguntas e respostas sobre estudar direito na África do Sul, e aí eu vou traduzindo à medida que a gente vai conversando. So, Khumo, if we could, when you're answering, if you could maybe give like short answers. You don't necessarily need to be short, but just like you say something and then you give a break, so I can translate it, and then you keep going. If that works out, would that work?
Yeah, that's
nice.
Good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super good. Ok. Então, como vai funcionar? Ele vai falar algumas frases e aí depois eu vou traduzir para o português em seguida. Então, vamos ver como vai funcionar. E se vocês tiverem perguntas, por favor, façam as perguntas aqui embaixo, né, na caixinha de texto ali. E eu vou começar falando sobre o ensino médio, pedindo como que, se você termina o ensino médio, já pode entrar na escola de direito, ou como que funciona, ok? All right. So, first of all, I was thinking, could you just give a little bit of a background on how does it work in South Africa? So, like, is your high school 3 years long? Like, how long is your high school? And then when you finish high school, can you go straight into law school? Então, a pergunta é, na África do Sul, você faz um ensino médio de 3 anos ou quanto tempo dura? E aí, quando você termina o ensino médio, você já pode entrar direito para a faculdade de direito ou tem alguma coisa no meio tempo?
Yeah, and well, in South Africa, we have high school, so that's the part form where you actually start building and preparing yourself for university. So before high school is primary school, so that's from grade 1 to 7, and grade 8 to 12, so it's 5 years. 5 years, and then after that you apply to go to, a university that will take you for law.
Ok. Então, ele estava só explicando que então tem primeiro a escola primária e a escola de ensino médio, né, bem semelhante à nossa aqui, e aí depois você pode ir direto para a escola de direito, não precisa fazer nada antes, como em alguns outros países, então você pode ir direto para um bacharelado em direito. Super cool, all right. That I was just saying how that's very similar to Brazil. We can go from high school straight into law school. That's super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all right. And we talked a little bit about this when we were preparing for the live, but here in Brazil we have a set curriculum for law school. So when we come into law school, we know exactly which different things we are going to take, which classes we are going to take, and then afterwards, sometimes there is like an elective. For example, in the college I'm studying law, there is sign language. Yes. It's the only elective you can take.
Okay.
And you need to take it along with the other classes. You don't have a choice to do it, in other time and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you about the curriculum, how it works. If you have a set number of classes you need to take, and then are they the same for all students? Então agora a pergunta foi sobre a questão do currículo ou quais matérias você precisa estudar na escola de direito. Se você tem que fazer se todo mundo faz a mesma grade, igual acontece na maioria das escolas aqui, das universidades, ou se você tem a opção, né, se você pode escolher algumas eletivas para fazer sozinho, e enfim, aí você vai fazendo as matérias que você mais gosta e tudo mais.
Yes, so in South Africa it's quite different. We have about 26 institutions, and so it depends. So different universities have different modules, and they basically produce different kinds of lawyers. They have their own curriculum, which is part of the whole national curriculum. But if I look at, for instance, University of Western Cape, where I am, if I look at the coursework compared to, let's say, Stellenbosch University or UP, it's different. It has a similar thread between it, but the module and the way it's given and different years, it varies. So I wouldn't say it's the same.
Ok. Então, as universidades, cada uma tem a liberdade para fazer o seu próprio currículo, muito semelhante a gente aqui no Brasil, mas ele está falando que cada universidade produz um tipo diferente de advogado. E aí ele estava falando, comparando, então, né, a Universidade de Western Cape, que é onde ele estuda, com uma outra universidade, e como elas têm um currículo parecido, mas cada uma tem a intenção de formar um tipo de advogado diferente. And how does it work with electives? Can you choose them right from the beginning, or do you need to choose them in the end? How does it work? How is it like, when you get into school, your first year? Então, eu estou perguntando como que é desde o início, nessa questão de matérias eletivas, que você não é obrigado a fazer. Se você já pode começar lá no início, se você pega elas no meio, como que isso funciona?
So yes, we actually spoke about this yesterday. It's quite interesting that in Brazil, you're saying it's one stage you don't have the chance for electives. In South African universities, it's also very different. I mean, if I do, let's say, LLB, which is the Bachelorate of Law, and if I do a BA Law, which is the Bachelor of Arts and the Law stream, or the BCom Law, or the Accounting and the Law, you're allowed to have different electives. So it's very interesting in South Africa.
Nice. I'll just translate it real quick and then we can keep talking about it.
Okay.
Então, eu estava só falando que aqui no Brasil, né, a gente tem essa grade contínua e na África do Sul tem algumas opções diferentes. Então, você pode fazer um LLB, que é um bacharelado em Direito. Você pode fazer um BA, que seria um bacharelado em Artes, né, relacionado a Direito. E aí você pode fazer também Finanças e Direito, né, Accounting e Direito ou Contabilidade e Direito. Então, seriam 3 opções principais, pelo menos na universidade onde ele estuda. All right, I think we can go on.
Okay. And so that would also mean that compared to a different university, also you have different electives. And as we spoke yesterday, for me, I only had 2 chances of having an elective: first year and final year. First year, it's tight. It holds you like this because I can only say business studies, environmental science, psychology. But now when I'm in final year, I can have environmental law, intellectual property law. It's actually giving you a different way to see the law, which is fun and it's nice.
And it's a 4-year-long course, right?
4-year-long course, yes.
Ok. Então, Direito na África do Sul é um curso de 4 anos, geralmente. E aí, no primeiro ano, você consegue escolher algumas matérias específicas, como psicologia, finanças, pode escolher também coisas relacionadas ao meio ambiente, estudos ambientais, e aí no primeiro ano e no 4º ano que você pode escolher eletivas. No 4º ano, quando você for escolher uma eletiva, você tem opções bem mais relacionadas com direito mesmo. Então seriam questões como... Vamos lá. Can you just name again the options you have on your 4th year so I can translate them because I forgot?
Okay, intellectual property law, IP. There is accounting. There is tax law. So I'm just giving you a few because there's 12 electives. So it must make up 60 credits, and then we just choose from the 60 what we like. So you can explain it as there's 12, but I'll just give you quite a few. Yeah, but it's from everything, from land law, and it goes all the way to human rights law, social bill of rights law. So it's very, very diverse at the University of Western Cape.
Nice. Então tem uma diversidade super grande, né, de opções que você pode escolher quando você está no seu último ano de direito. Então você pode fazer propriedade intelectual, né, relacionado a direito. Também pode fazer outros lados do direito, né, como land law, que ele falou que seria tipo direito imobiliário. Então existem várias opções diferentes que você pode escolher. no seu último ano de Direito. E são todos relacionados a Direito muito mais do que o primeiro ano, como ele tinha falado. That's quite incredible. And we also discussed a little bit about the path to become a lawyer or an attorney,
Yes.
and you explained me how that's super different there. So maybe we could just go over that a little bit and kind of see the differences. Maybe I can tell you a little bit about how Brazil works as well. Yeah. So it's more of a conversation than just, you know, an interview. Então, a gente vai falar um pouco sobre essas diferenças que existem especialmente no Brasil e na África do Sul para se tornar um advogado. Então, ontem a gente já havia conversado um pouco sobre como que funciona esse processo e agora a gente eu vou falar um pouco sobre como que funciona aqui no Brasil e o Khumo vai falar um pouco sobre como funciona na África do Sul, mas são processos bem diferentes e isso é uma coisa muito interessante que eu gostei muito. Alright, so let's just imagine we are done with law school and we want to become an attorney or lawyer. What do we do? What's the process?
Yeah. So the process for actually before, you know, we actually want to study and we want to finish the law and practice. There's so many different streams. And so yesterday I mentioned to you the stream of going for the attorney, which is more of the commercial lawyer who actually deals with the business aspect of the law and deals with the drafting of laws. He's a more relationship kind of person and is in the corporate space. Then there's that you have to go to the firm and do it for 2 years training. So it's
Okay, so just translate it so it's not too long. Okay. Então, o primeiro passo, você vai escolher que tipo de advogado que você quer ser, pensando que tem coisas diferentes, né? Então, tem o advogado corporativo, que é aquele que vai falar mais com as pessoas, que vai ser, enfim, fazer essas relações públicas, inclusive com as organizações. E para se tornar esse tipo de advogado, né, a gente falou sobre o primeiro passo, que seria escolher, então, que você quer essa carreira, e aí você faz um treinamento de 2 anos. Eu vou perguntar como que funciona essa questão do treinamento. So, this 2-year training you mentioned, does it go like you can just go to any law firm and take it, or how does that work specifically?
No, so you have to apply. So look at it as trying to get into university again.
Oh, wow. Ok. Então você tem que se inscrever, tem que se candidatar para fazer esse treinamento. É como se estivesse entrando para uma universidade novamente.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super crazy.
Yeah. It's a tough thing. Okay. I've applied, I've been rejected, and it's a very good learning process for law students or lawyers. Is that route? It's really have to, you know, look at yourself and keep developing yourself, editing, reshaping yourself so that you can actually find a place to do the 2 years training. So you have to, if you want to do that, you do that. So it's you can quickly translate that, because I also want to explain about the being an advocate and also being an in-house counsel. Yeah.
Ok, sounds good. Então, ele estava falando sobre esse treinamento, né? Não é como aqui, talvez, que todo mundo pode se inscrever, na verdade, né? Mas, então, existe uma seleção de quais alunos que vão ser escolhidos. Então, todos se candidatam, né? Todos que têm esse interesse, mas nem todos são escolhidos. E a gente está só falando desse treinamento de 2 anos para se tornar um advogado corporativo. E a gente ainda não chegou nos exames, nem nada assim. Então, depois que você termina o Direito na África do Sul, que é uma faculdade de 4 anos, você tem que fazer mais esse treinamento de 2 anos se você quiser ser um advogado corporativo. All right, we can move on.
Yes, and then, so that is that attorneyship and doing the article of clerkship. Then there is pupillage. So you do this if you want to be an advocate. You remember yesterday when I was explaining, that's the one you see, the people with the robe, and they actually, you know, bring the case before the court, and they argue and they litigate. And so they are the very traditional lawyers that we know. That's how I came up growing up. I saw a lawyer, he's in the court, he's speaking to the judge, he's arguing the case. But now when I study law, I'm like, it's advocates. In South Africa, we call them advocates. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, you basically train also, but you don't get paid. It's a learning process. So you have.
Is it 2 years as well? Do you need to apply the same way as the regular attorney?
It's quite different, you know, because that has it actually depends on the senior, let's say, advocates who you can learn under. So you basically mentor, you are under someone. So you learn, and
Okay.
then it's usually a year, if I'm not mistaken, a year and 6 months. And so it's a
Okay.
year of learning, and then it's like practical. So it's much more direct. I think it's more practical on the spot training. So
Uhum, uhum.
it's much better. Yeah.
Ok, nice. Então, além do advogado corporativo, como a gente tinha chamado, né, esse advogado que fala com as pessoas, que seria a parte mais comum aqui, que a gente vê acontecendo também aqui no Brasil, ele está falando também que tem o advogado de corte, né, que eles chamam de advocate na África do Sul. E esse advogado ele faz um papel um pouquinho diferente. Então, ele é só aquele advogado de litígio, ele só é o advogado que fala na corte. Então, eles têm papéis diferentes, têm treinamento diferente. Então, são coisas diferentes na África do Sul, né? Sendo que aqui, claro que a gente tem especializações, tem pessoas que preferem trabalhar em uma área específica, mas você não faz esse treinamento separado para poder fazer isso, né? Pelo menos esse é o meu entendimento. Todo mundo vai para o mesmo tipo de escola de direito, faz o mesmo tipo de admissão na OAB, e aí depois na prática, ou dependendo da sua área de preferência, ou do escritório que você trabalha, você vai escolher isso. Então a gente já viu sobre duas coisas diferentes, né? Então, o advogado do dia a dia, digamos assim, né? E o advogado da corte mesmo, que tem a ver com o litígio. Nice, all right. So, and you said there's also like an in-house lawyer, so like another kind?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's learn about it.
Yeah, this one was more of a lawyer who comes straight out of university. He's got his degree. She's got a degree. They have the LLB degree, and they can work in-house. But the only difference is that by not going through that process, you're not admitted as an attorney. So it's more you learning in the corporate space. So you will just be advising using the legal research and the skills and the studying training that you have, but you won't be able to be accredited or known as an admitted attorney. So that's quite the different stream, is that if I want to be an admitted attorney, I take the route of an article clerkship. If I want to be an advocate, I can take that route. But then advocate can also become a CA, and vice versa. So it's all just up to the individual, what you see. Let's say I like a company, I want to learn a different skill in that company. I go there and I be an in-house, and from there, it's all up to the individual to plan their career.
Okay, nice, all right. So I'll just go for translating it. Então você pode também ser um advogado, ele falou, né, in-house, que seria dentro da casa, né, ou no escritório. E aí esse advogado, ele seria um advogado que só terminou a escola, só terminou a faculdade e ainda não fez um treinamento especializado, nem nada assim. Então ele vai fazer essa consultoria mais simples, não vai chegar a ser nem o advogado que produz peça, pelo que eu entendi, e nem o advogado que vai lá litigar na corte. Eu só vou perguntar sobre essa questão da produção de documentos e tudo mais, para ver qual que seria a diferença. Well, so I was just thinking, can you tell me a little bit more about the difference of like the lawyer, like the corporate lawyer, as we said before, and then the one that is in-house? Can they both produce documents? Can they both, talk to people as a lawyer? Because you mentioned the thing about not being like an accredited attorney, and then afterwards we'll talk about the bar exams, but I was just thinking about like the difference between these two. If we could be, I think there's maybe I could make it clearer in Portuguese if I understand it better.
I understand what you're saying. The one thing is that what I'm explaining with the in-house counsel is just that if I'm battling to get into a law firm and I have the opportunity to go into a legal space, like a company has a legal compliance department, and I say, okay, I want my experience here. That's basically that space. But then there is the in-house lawyers who advise the company on if they're having different new models and new ideas, products that they want to have. You are able to actually understand what to look out for, and then they can advise you which firms do you go to, because usually you also need that legal advisory. So what you also find out is that people who have the CA and they've become admitted attorneys, they leave the legal firm to go in-house. So you also do have the transfer of skills. So it's not just like everyone is going there who doesn't have the accreditations. It's just, it's a very different blend. Yeah, it's a very different environment, and it's I think it's more not transformative, but it's just more diverse in its application. Yeah.
Ok. Então, o que eu entendi, assim, é que a diferença maior, na verdade, é que os advogados que trabalham in-house, né, que seriam dentro de uma firma, de uma empresa, de um escritório, eles são advogados que vão prestar essa assessoria. Eles ainda não são, tipo, advogados acreditados, como foi falado, né, accredited attorneys, mas eles são pessoas que vão dar já consultoria legal, normalmente, né. Mas aí tem um ambiente bem diferente, né? Ele é um ambiente mais corporate, né? Seria dentro das empresas, mais corporativo, negócios. Então, nesse sentido que seria essa maior diferença entre essas três tipos diferentes de advogado ou de profissionais do direito. All right, and then after those trainings, you know, the 2-year, the 1.5-year training, what do you do? Do you have to take bar exams just like in Brazil and other countries? How does that work?
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually through just applying. It's also in the final year, so that would be the second year of your training. You have to write exams, 4 exams, 4 bars, and that is between, if I'm not mistaken, May and August. Or it could be much earlier, February and May, February and August. Sorry, and you have to complete them. You have to pass the exams, and then from there you be admitted as an attorney after completing that. Then from there your legal career, I think, really begins. I haven't experienced that because I'm still studying, though. It's where you're no longer a candidate attorney. You be getting a new title if a firm keeps you, is that you become an associate, and from there the roles you'll take on more responsibility, and you're going up the ranks in the law firm and within the legal space. So it's quite interesting. I don't know how different it is in Portugal, in Brazil, how different it is when you are doing your bar exam, and from that I have no understanding of that, so I'd also like you to just share on that. Yeah.
I surely will do. I'll just translate it real quick and then I'll come back to it. Então, a questão é um pouco diferente também nos exames de admissão para a Ordem dos Advogados da África do Sul, né? Nos exames BAR. Então, na África do Sul também, depois que você faz esse treinamento, então seriam 4 anos de universidade, mais 2 anos ou 1 ano e meio de treinamento, dependendo da forma que você quer ser, de que caminho você quer seguir. Você vai ter, então, esse treinamento você vai ter esse teste, que seria parecido com o exame da OAB, e depois que você passa nesse teste, se você já estava em uma firma, né, em um escritório de direito, geralmente você se torna um associado. Então, né, antes você era um candidate lawyer, então você era um candidato a advogado, né, e agora você se torna, então, um associado da empresa, se eles escolherem continuar com você. E agora eu vou falar um pouco sobre como que funciona aqui no Brasil, para a gente ter essa troca também. Aí depois eu traduzo resumidamente o que eu disse. So, here in Brazil, most law courses, I think that all that I know of, at least, they are 5 years long. And then we can go, while we are still in law school, when we are like on the second to the last part of law school, we can already take the bar exams. So some people who have worked really hard and studied really hard, they get admitted right after law school, because you need to pass the test, but also you need to have graduated already. So after passing the test and then graduating, doing all those requirements, the different requirements that the Brazilian Bar Association has, so they can be admitted into the National Association of Lawyers. And there's also many different career paths for attorneys or lawyers here in Brazil. You can work with notary law, which is like land law as well. We can also go into corporate law. We can open our own firm. You can work for the government. So there's like quite a few options. You know, I think that that's very diverse in all countries, but it's I guess it seems at least a little bit simpler, you know, because you can just finish the school and then you go into your bar, and as you are admitted into the bar, you can already start working and signing and everything. You're already like full lawyer. You don't have any special restrictions or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it looks a little more simple. I'll just summarize and translate this that I just said, and then I'll come right back to you. All right. Então, o que eu estava só falando aqui a gente pode terminar a faculdade de Direito, geralmente as faculdades têm 5 anos, e aí em seguida você já pode fazer o exame da OAB, já passando nas 2 fases da OAB, você já se torna um advogado, né, assim que você preenche todos os demais requisitos, né, como graduação, como, enfim, todos os documentos que você precisa levar para ser admitido na OAB, mas não tem nenhum treinamento especializado ou alguma coisa assim, como acontece na África do Sul, né. Nice, that's super cool. You know, it's very common as well for attorneys here to take some kind of post-graduation course after finishing law school, because as I mentioned to you, we all have the same training, so it kind of like everybody is supposed to leave law school knowing the same things, and then it's very common for Brazilians to take some kind of post-graduation studies in order to specialize in their specific area, you know. So I was thinking, is that a common thing in South Africa as well? Então, acabei de perguntar se aqui no Brasil eu vejo que é muito comum os advogados, né, os profissionais, bacharéis em direito terminarem a faculdade de direito e daí fazerem alguma pós-graduação na área especial deles, né, na área que eles querem seguir. E eu estou perguntando se isso é a mesma coisa, se na África do Sul também é comum isso acontecer ou se não. All right.
Could you just didn't catch that last piece that you were just wanting me to?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, so here when we are done with law school, it's very common to go into another course. You know, we can take like post-graduation courses that are a year long, and they're very specific about, for example, civil law or criminal law. You know, and then you can become like specialized in that area, or like land law, notary law. So it's very common for how everybody takes the same course and knows the same things. As you go into your career in some specific area, it's very common for you to take this course for you to learn more on your specific field, you know. So I was thinking if that's also an option for you in South Africa.
Yes, it is, and it's also the same as what you're saying, you know, postgraduates. So we are encouraged to study further, and that also does open up the stream of a lawyer, which I actually didn't mention in the beginning, is that you can also become an academic. So that becomes academic in the sense that you will be doing research and you will be, you know, developing different areas within the law, adding to the body of knowledge, which is also awesome because it doesn't just mean you have to be a traditional lawyer. You become a good or a known academic. You can also have a big influence in policy making and understanding the needs of society. So writing books, lecturing to students, and so it's a very interesting field. So the more you're in that postgraduate field, then you go afterwards, you can work yourself towards becoming a professor of law, and so you'll be postgrad. It's our masters. After masters would become your doctorate, and then further on. So yeah, we are encouraged to do that. It's not a must. It's not a must. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a must here as well. Ok, então na África do Sul também eles são encorajados a fazer esse treinamento pós-universidade, né? E aí ele também mencionou uma outra possibilidade, né? Que é se tornar então esse advogado que está mais um pesquisador, né? Está mais preocupado com a questão da academia, de escrever livros, né? Influenciar a questão de escrita de leis e questões nesse sentido. Então esse seria um outro ponto interessante, né, sobre as possibilidades. E até, então, se tornar um professor de direito e tudo mais. Então, essas são algumas das opções diferentes que existem na África do Sul que não estão, que também estão disponíveis aqui, né, mas talvez seguem de uma forma um pouco diferente. Yeah, that is super cool, you know. Here I feel like maybe I'm not sure how many of our professors are actually into post-graduation, you know, like masters and doctorates. I do know that we just have a few doctors, not many of them, but yeah, because most not, but like many of them, they're not only professors, you know, they have a career, they are working with the police, or they're working as a lawyer, they have another profession, and then they have another profession, and being a professor is just something else that they do, you know. So that's also interesting, and it happens a lot here. I was thinking, like, does that happen to you as well? Do you have professors who are also professionals of some area?
Yeah, that's actually, you know, I'm just listening to you talk and I'm realizing just how similar our structures are, because you have a lot of, for instance, advocates who lecture as well, who come and lecture. So they'll come and give a course, maybe 6 weeks. And so it does happen. I mean, I think it just depends on the person. If you're really able to understand opportunity, and, you know, if you are good in being a business person, but now you know that you can give back to your university and you're educated to do that, I think that's awesome. And that actually does happen. We've had quite a few lecturers who are advocates and who are practicing, so they'll have a case later in the day, but now they're having to teach us and lecture, and which is awesome. I think that's awesome. It gives it balances it out. It's awesome. Yeah.
That's super cool. Então, a diferença a diferença não, né? Algo interessante também que a gente estava conversando é que aqui no Brasil, vários dos professores, especialmente nas escolas que a gente tem, nas universidades que são mais no interior, talvez, ou ainda na cidade grande, mas são de formas diferentes, assim, professores que não têm dedicação exclusiva para a docência, né, que eles fazem outras coisas também. E aí eu estava mencionando que tem vários professores que são advogados, e ser professor é uma outra profissão, né, que eles fazem ao mesmo tempo. E na África do Sul essa coisa acontece também, né, onde não existem só professores de carreira, mas professores que também advogam durante o dia, por exemplo, e dão aula depois. Então, várias similaridades, né, muitas coisas bem semelhantes entre o nosso direito e o direito lá, tanto na universidade quanto depois na hora de advogar. E se vocês tiverem perguntas, por favor, adoraria saber o que vocês têm de curiosidade também, coisas que a gente não falou ainda, ou se precisar recapitular alguma coisa. Espero que a tradução esteja ajudando um pouco também. Yeah, that's super cool. You know, the thing you mentioned about us being so similar, it's awesome. You know, I feel like it's very much alike. And also coming back to, you know, a college experience, I was thinking, you know, we have a couple of things. You know, they always say that university is based on three main things, which is like teaching, extension, and research. So they always say that we need to be involved in these things. So we have teaching as we go to class. We have research as we do research, as we publish articles, you know, that kind of thing. We call it like the junior scientific initiation. And also we have extensions, which would be like projects with the community, you know. So for example, in my law school, you can do it as a student, like by yourself with a coordinator. And you also can, you also actually are obliged to take an internship. So it's a mandatory internship. In order for you to graduate law school, you need to take these internships. And this internship is made at the university. And what it is, it's like a social clinic, you know. So we learn about how to be a lawyer. And the idea is that you use all of that to benefit the community. So when we are talking to people, those people are the community that's coming in and bringing the problems, you know, people who probably wouldn't be able to afford to pay for a lawyer. So I was thinking if you also have those things about, you know, community service, and is that mandatory, is that not mandatory? And also about, you know, research, if you do research in undergrad school, or if you just go if research is really just a focus for postgraduate studies. Então, o que eu estava falando também é que aqui a universidade geralmente tem esses 3 pilares do ensino, da pesquisa e da extensão, e eu estava perguntando como que isso funciona lá. Aí eu mencionei, né, a questão da iniciação científica para nós aqui, sendo na questão de pesquisa, e também as questões dos projetos de extensão. Então, na universidade aqui, na Uniarp, onde eu estudo, né, a gente pode fazer um projeto de extensão, né, eles chamam de PAEC, onde você, como aluno e um professor, só podem fazer, mas também os estudantes de Direito são obrigados a participar do núcleo de práticas jurídicas. E, se eu não me engano, isso é um requisito da OAB, né, todo o Brasil tem que fazer isso. E aí você atende a comunidade, né, a ideia é que você possa fazer esse serviço social. E aí eu estava perguntando como que funciona na África do Sul, se também tem essas questões, tanto da pesquisa quanto da extensão junto do campo da universidade.
So
If you'd like to, I can... Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, if you want to, I can reveal the questions because they were so long, and coming with some explaining.
That's so good. I can listen.
Okay.
And I'm kind of picking up on a little bit of your Portuguese.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, in our university, there are law clinics, and there is an actual law clinic by the department, and there is one. It's like a society, student society called Street Law, and now the students go out into the community and teach the public, usually people who can't afford law, or they go to shelters like women who are abused, and start empowering them on law. So to be honest, I haven't done that. I haven't been involved in that, and it's something I kind of look back at and think maybe not. However, I have been involved in other ways of giving back to the community, and so there was I think maybe if you could translate that, because I think what I'm going to explain now is a different organization.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll speak into what you're talking about.
Alright. Então, ele estava explicando que eles têm, sim, algumas clínicas dentro da universidade, né? Tem uma clínica da universidade, tem também uma associação de estudantes que está relacionada a moradores de rua e pessoas em vulnerabilidade social. Também falou que eles fazem esse atendimento a vítimas de abusos em geral, mulheres, né? E aí eles têm programas diferentes, né? Sobre empoderamento no direito, né? Para que as pessoas possam conhecer os seus direitos. E também outros tipos diferentes de possibilidades que eles têm para ajudar as pessoas. E aí também mencionou que ele não teve essa participação, né, porque ela não é obrigatória, mas mencionou então que tem essa opção tanto da clínica da universidade, quanto tem associações de estudantes que fazem esse trabalho social de extensão para a comunidade. E agora ele vai explicar sobre um outro projeto de extensão para a comunidade que ele fez parte, né, e vai falar para a gente como funcionou. All right.
Okay. Yeah, and so the organization I was more involved in was a cool one, because one of the guys I studied with, he and his friends, they started like a student organization called Chamber of Legal Students, and now we would represent students who got into disciplinary hearings, at high school. So we would use our understanding of law, we would do our research, and then it's like a meeting, when you go to the high school and you've done something and you are in trouble, they want to remove you from the school. So
okay.
Have a big meeting, like a body of parents and teachers, and they explain what you did wrong, and this is what you did wrong, and now you must be suspended or you must leave. Mm-hmm. We actually came in and would use our understanding of the law, looking at the acts of the School National Act for South Africa and the governmental policies, and look at what are they actually doing. Are they following the procedure? And as soon as they're doing that, would call them in and say, no, you're not following procedure and you're treating the students unfairly. And so that was really cool, because it was outside of what the university built. And so we were able to go into the community, go to high school students. And yeah, I mean, it gave us really practical understanding of law. When the parents were fighting and the teachers are angry, you have to understand how to respond. You're not just going to say, hey, and it's like, yeah, okay. No, what's the law saying? And yeah, so it was huge experience. Yeah, so we are
Wow, okay,
encouraged to do
that's
that. We
super
are
interesting.
encouraged, yeah, yeah.
Ok. Então, ele estava falando que existe uma prática que ele pode participar de uma organização, e o que eles faziam era, à medida que alunos estavam sendo expulsos do ensino médio, ensino fundamental, enfim, da escola, né, existia essa grande reunião, então, que participavam pais, professores e outras pessoas, e nessa reunião, então, eles iam expor, né, por que o aluno está sendo expulso ou suspendido da escola, quais que são os procedimentos e tudo mais. E essa organização específica que o Khumo fazia parte, o que eles faziam era mediar essa situação, ver se realmente o aluno, enfim, desrespeitou o procedimento, ou se ainda esse julgamento, entre aspas, estava sendo seguido da forma correta, de acordo com as leis de educação locais. Então, eles faziam toda essa mediação, e aí ele explicou que assim, dá um conhecimento prático muito forte, né, porque é na hora que você tinha que estar lá, na hora que os pais e os professores estão gritando e brigando, e aí que você precisava intervir e ser o advogado naquela hora. Então essa era uma parte bem interessante do trabalho que ele fez. That's incredible. And you said that's like an association, NGO, like what's that organization like?
So it's a student organization. It was one of the guys who actually, he's a student. He thought of it, and so he just decided, okay, there's a need for this. Let's do this. And so it's a student organization. I would say maybe more similar to an NGO.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very it's well known because we even extended that, but I left it as an exclusion for the university students, and we would
Mm-hmm.
represent them at the student court for exclusion. And it was
Okay.
a lot personal. Yeah, it's a lot of students who don't know the law of the university and how they can be expelled, how that impacts their career and their choices of becoming professionals afterwards. So it became more serious, and it's like what, like it impacts people's lives. So I mean, yeah, it's law when you understand it from that aspect is quite powerful, and we have to kind of be really responsible and accountable in what we do, because it's people's lives. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the
Yes,
awesome
totally
thing
agreed.
about being involved. Yeah.
Yeah. Então, o que ele estava explicando é que eu pedi, né, se isso era uma ONG, que tipo de organização que era essa, né, que faz essa mediação com professores e tudo mais. E aí ele mencionou que é uma associação de estudantes mesmo, né, não é parecida com uma ONG, mas não seria uma organização assim. E também mencionou que os trabalhos deles estão sendo estendidos, né, embora ele tenha saído dessa prática, eles estão já fazendo isso com estudantes universitários, né, e vendo como que acontece essa expulsão da universidade e fazendo esse mesmo trabalho, mas daí num âmbito já de universidade, não mais só de escola. Yeah, I've never heard of something like that before, so I'm sure it's a very interesting initiative, you know. And yeah, I was thinking, do you have any, questions about how it works in Brazil, so I can tell you a little bit about what goes on in here as well?
Yeah. When we spoke yesterday, you mentioned how you are working and you are studying law full time. So I wanted to find out, like, when you apply to the university, do they give you that? Do they encourage you, or is it a compulsory thing to do to actually study and work?
Okay, yeah, I'll just translate your question and then I'll answer it right away. Então, ele estava me perguntando, né, ontem quando a gente conversou, eu falei que eu estava trabalhando, e ele achou isso uma coisa muito curiosa, trabalhar e estudar ao mesmo tempo, né. E aí eu vou explicar um pouco sobre essa realidade do Brasil, né, ele estava perguntando se isso é uma coisa encorajada, né, por que as pessoas fazem e tudo mais. Well, so I'm not sure about how it is, like, do you need to pay for school in South Africa, or most of them are public? How does that work? Yeah. So that I can give you a little bit more of a background of why we work and study here at the same time.
So it's public universities, and we all have to pay. Some people can get bursaries, and other people are funded by the government. The main gist of it is that we pay.
Okay. Então, so they are public, but you also pay for it.
Yeah.
Ok. Então, eles têm universidades públicas, mas eles também pagam para estudar nas universidades públicas, né? E aí, e agora eu vou falar um pouco sobre a realidade aqui do Brasil, por que que nós trabalhamos e estudamos geralmente. Well, so excluding the federal universities, and this that I'm gonna say, it's like my personal experience, but you know, I do know many people in federal universities that also have a full-time job, so that just depends. But it's more common for students who study at a private university. So let me just try to explain it all, you know. So we have federal universities that are universities funded by the government, and the students who get admitted into these universities, they don't need to pay to study. It's a free, tuition-free university. It's very common that these universities have classes during the day and sometimes during the night as well. So it's because of your hours, you're mostly not, you know, not always available to work through the day because you are studying along the day, you know, so you don't, so all those years in university, it doesn't really allow you much free time to work. And if you work, it's like as a freelancer or something like that, it's hard to commit for a time thing, because maybe in this semester you won't have classes in the morning, but next you will. So it just depends a lot on your course and where you study. And this is the reality for federal universities, and we have those in very few places. So those are not the majority. The majority of universities and what kind of reaches through all places are the private universities. And that's where I study. So I study in a private university. I do have a scholarship, which helps me to pay for my studies. But it's also very common for students to work during the day to be able to pay for school, for your rent, you know, for your expenses in general. So we even just have law school at night. It's a night-only course here in my university. So it just depends where you study. Yeah, undergrad. Exactly. So we get out of high school, we get a full-time job, sometimes an internship as well. It just depends. And then you go into law school and you study during the night for those 5 years. And it's very common that you work during the day, and you know, you do whatever you want with the money. But it's very common for students to be working full-time while they are at school. So it's kind of the reality here. Então, o que eu acabei de falar é só, fui explicando, né, que existem as universidades federais, onde os estudantes não pagam para estudar, e aí na Universidade Federal é mais comum ter aulas durante o dia do que na universidade privada, e também que na Universidade Federal, né, às vezes você não consegue um emprego fixo de tempo integral, porque nesse semestre você vai ter uma aula de manhã, no semestre que vem não, então depende muito, né, do teu calendário. E aí eu falei que eu estudo numa universidade privada, e nessa universidade é muito comum que os estudantes, né, na nossa região, na nossa realidade, que os estudantes estudem durante o dia, trabalhem durante o dia e estudem durante a noite. E isso é tão real que o curso de Direito aqui só acontece na parte da noite, porque a realidade aqui é que os estudantes vão estudar durante o dia, né? Vão trabalhar durante o dia. Yeah, so I see that's probably very different for you then. So you probably don't have that chance to, you know, work during the day and then study at night. You just go to school, and then like can you even have an internship while you are in college? How would that like work or turn out?
You know, it's quite interesting how you say that, because I just wonder how different studying law would be, because you say that you have law schools at night. That changes the game completely. We aren't encouraged to work and study undergrad at the same time. There are people who do it, and mostly people who do it are more mature. So people with families, and they understand, they know how to time manage and priority set. But I think what you just said is quite cool. I'm just trying to think that if we had the opportunity to study law at night and work during the day, it would allow us also to take the initiative to, you know, work and pay for our own studies. I like that. It's not done in South Africa, mostly through your traditional universities, that your, you know, the institutions I mentioned, your public universities. I also do know that through UNISA, though, which is long distance learning, where you can study, you can study during the day or night, depending on your schedule. But mostly, a lot of people make use of that who are actually working. And so I have no good understanding of different universities in South Africa that offer that besides University of South Africa. South Africa.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's actually very interesting that you're able to do that in Brazil. So is that only for the federal or the private
No,
university?
it's most common at private universities because
Wow. Okay.
it probably means that you're going to pay for your education. So
Okay. Okay.
because of that, you probably need to, work to be able to get the money to pay for it and
Hmm.
stuff. So, but
Yeah.
it's a quite a big reality, for undergrad
Hmm.
students in Brazil in general to work and study. Então, ainda falando sobre trabalhar e estudar, o Khumo estava falando que não é comum na África do Sul as pessoas estudarem e trabalharem ao mesmo tempo. Inclusive, eles não são encorajados a ter um emprego enquanto eles estão no bacharelado, né, na primeira universidade. Ele falou que algumas pessoas fazem isso quando elas já são mais velhas, mais maduras, né, que elas têm família e têm essas responsabilidades. Ele também falou que existem, por exemplo, a universidade EAD, né, à distância, e aí essas universidades têm essa prática de estudantes trabalharem e estudarem, mas isso não é comum mesmo, sabe? É uma realidade diferente. Ele até falou assim, né, que seria legal talvez poder fazer isso, porque aí as pessoas poderiam pagar pela sua própria educação. E talvez o que eu vou perguntar agora então é se geralmente os pais vão pagar pela educação, talvez como que acontece essa integração, se a universidade é para todos, né? Como que funciona isso? So you mentioned when we were talking about working and studying that maybe
Hmm.
you could pay for your own education if you were able to work. So you'd say like probably most students have their parents pay for their education. How would that work? If you're like just middle class, you can attend university, or is university for all? What would you say about that?
You're speaking about a really contentious area with South Africa. Look, the middle class, people who fall into the middle class would be seen as people who can pay for university.
Mm-hmm.
And people within the middle class who are, let's say, extremely high achieving and actually have obtained really good results, they may be likely to have funding from bursaries, scholarships through sports and things like that. So it's and the higher you go, it's the ability to have your fees paid for you. It's a lot more difficult. It's more catering towards the social dynamics in South Africa. So yesterday we spoke about just how unequal South Africa is, and you also mentioned that there is a lot of inequality also in Brazil. And so with South Africa, it's also dealing with the past and how our legal system entrenched apartheid, so which created a segregation between different races, and the concept behind student loans and bursaries are more catered to people who are recognized as previously disadvantaged. And so you'd have
Mm-hmm.
to send financial documents. You'd have to see that your parents together don't make a certain amount of money in a year. So it's more or less trying to include people who are disadvantaged, don't have that opportunity. So it is mostly relying on parents to pay scholarships and bursaries. And if you're unfortunate to not do to get that, you apply for student loans, or you actually have one that the government rolls out, which is called NASFAS, and they have the ability to change that to a bursary if you obtain a 75% aggregate. So it's an incentive for you to do well, and so majority of students would pay for their studies if they can through their parents. If you're
Mm-hmm.
working, you're able to do that. So yeah, it's really different, and it's mostly the parents take that burden. Yeah.
Ok, understood.
Yeah.
Então, é bem comum que os pais paguem pela educação dos filhos, né? Como a gente falou, os filhos não... Geralmente as pessoas que estão na universidade não estão trabalhando ao mesmo tempo. E aí ele mencionou que também existem outras opções, né? Existem bolsas de estudo, bolsas governamentais, existe também a possibilidade de ter esses financiamentos governamentais, né? Provavelmente parecido com o FIES aqui. Também outros tipos de empréstimos que podem ser feitos para fins universitários. Mas é uma realidade parecida com a nossa aqui nesse sentido, né? Que existem muitas pessoas que ainda não conseguem acessar a universidade por questões financeiras, né? A gente falou um pouco ontem sobre essa questão das desigualdades e onde o Brasil e a África do Sul estão muito semelhantes, né? Em várias áreas diferentes, inclusive na questão do acesso à educação. Okay, yeah, I was just saying how similar we are in access to education, you know, and I don't have any updated data right here, right now, but there's this increasing part of the population here that's getting, you know, kind of some attention from the media for being people who don't work, like youth who don't work or study, you know, and then we also have big problems with, you know, high school dropouts and all these things. So I feel like our social you know, aspects, they might be very similar in these questions about inequality and stuff, you know. Probably we're a lot closer than we could think.
Yeah, you know, you just you just raised the point which I've been in my own time on the side just been trying to understand, and that's youth unemployment in South Africa. So the big box that's put into is unemployment, and then it's from that it's the youth unemployment, which is really troubling. Is that unemployment in South Africa is at 30%. That's before COVID-19, and so they're expecting the numbers to escalate. And within the youth unemployment is graduate unemployment. So these are people with degrees, and so we are not actually from a young age in our education taught to think entrepreneurially. So what we have is students who are qualified, who are professional on paper. They have the ability to go and work, but there's no opportunity. So another issue that we have is that there is also lack of access to financial resources, sectors. And it was very interesting for me how this all tied back is that in South Africa, they did did some study, and they found out that unemployment affects women most. And if we're just thinking about the social dynamics, and just in South Africa, we're having a really big issue with gender-based violence. And the woman is seen as someone to oppress, and that's a mindset that is it's very troubling in our country. So the impact of youth unemployment, the impact of the unemployment is that one of the worrying concerns is that it also affects women massively, and that is just continuing to make the cycle go around. And it's looking at that, they found that women are more eager to be entrepreneurial as well, which was really interesting to find out that they, through that research, that's what they found. So there has been a lot of attention, just like in Brazil, and ours has been for years. I think even saying a decade is an understatement. It's been a long time. It just gets louder and louder.
Ok. Então ele estava falando sobre a questão de desemprego mesmo, né? Que a África tem mais ou menos, a África do Sul tem mais ou menos 30% de desemprego. Esses são dados antes da Covid-19. Então, talvez, né? Provavelmente esses números tenham escalado, tenham aumentado ainda mais. E aí existe todo esse problema de jovens que não conseguem acesso à educação. Ou ainda esses jovens que conseguem acesso à educação têm um certificado já, um diploma, mas ainda não conseguem emprego. E aí ele falou que ainda dentro né, a gente vai vendo todo esse aspecto, né, toda essa situação, e ainda quando a gente vê uma mulher nesse aspecto ali, as mulheres ainda têm uma quantidade maior ainda de desemprego, né, então elas acaba tendo essa questão de gênero bem forte, né, na questão do desemprego e também violência e tudo mais. E eu acho que isso é muito semelhante à questão aqui no Brasil, ou mesmo no mundo todo, né? A gente ainda tem dificuldade bem grande, né, com apenas alguns países aí que ainda são grandes modelos na questão de igualdade de gênero, mas que não é o caso da África do Sul nem o caso do Brasil, né? So I was just mentioning about gender inequality, and I was saying how Brazil is not an example of gender equality, and probably, as you mentioned, South Africa isn't one either. But I feel like that's a reality in most of the world, and that's very unfortunate, because we know that gender doesn't define all that much when we were talking about professional skills and stuff like that. But thank you so much for your time. The live is going to finish right now because of the time, but I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
All right, yeah, that was awesome. I hope you keep well and look forward to catching up with you outside.
We'll keep in touch. Obrigado, gente, por ter assistido, né? A live vai acabar agora, então muito obrigado a todos. Gratidão por terem gastado um pouquinho